Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. This week is a pretty exciting one as we have the Vault of Glass available as the weekly featured raid for the first time. Not only that, but we're all well deep inside activities that will give us progress in that enormous record book. In this video we'll go over those weekly activities and one very special weapon at the tower that is definitely worth your marks. Before we jump into it, I do want to remind you guys that my new shirt is now available for pre-order on my website. If you like what you see, hit the eye in the upper right hand corner or click the link in the description box below. But anyways, moving on to the weekly rituals, we'll start with the Crucible featured playlist, and this week we have Zone Control. Zone Control is one of those sort of underrated game types. It's actually a lot more fun than you might realize, and I definitely prefer it over things like Rift. If you're a solo queuer and want an objective-based game, Zone Control is actually a great choice. And the bounties available from Shaxx this week are Rift and Clash. Now, one thing I completely forgot about last week in all of the awesomeness that we got with the update are the specific weapon bounties available from the Crucible Quartermaster that can get you some old Year 2 or Year 3 weapons. And this week's rotation of playlists include Clash, Rift, Skirmish, and Rumble Supremacy. Next up we have the weekly story playlist. Here you can get your second free Treasure of Ages, with the first one being the Crucible playlist of course. This week we have Mars and Venus, and the modifiers are Solar Burn and Catapult. And I just got myself a Vision of Confluence Adept from Vault of Glass, so I'm going to be using this quite a bit. This weapon, of course, in its legendary state, was one of my favorite weapons of Year 1, and I was pretty inseparable from it. Next up we have the Siva Crisis Heroic playlist, and this week's modifiers are Solar Burn, Brawler, and Chaff. Again, a great week to test out those exotic elemental primaries and see what all the fuss is about. Moving on to the Nightfall Strike, this week we have the Nexus, and the modifiers are Arcburn, Specialist, Juggler, and Ironclad. So yeah, sadly no Daybreak modifier. I really think they should have just added it in permanently for the last few months of Destiny, but at least I'll be able to take out my Fatebringer Adept and Wreck Shop. Now of course there's been a lot of discussion I've been hearing online about whether or not these exotic Adept primaries are actually worth it for your exotic slot. When you compare it to weapons like the Zalo Supercell, that weapon has 2 exotic perks on top of the fact that it's Arcburn. So when you look at a weapon like Fatebringer and it has something as simple as Outlaw and Firefly, it doesn't seem like it quite stacks up. And my answer to that is that Zalo Supercell is a one-off scenario. But sometimes you want to use a hand cannon, sometimes you want to use a pulse rifle like the Oversoul Edict, but really the value of these weapons comes in with things like Solar Burn or Void Burn when you realize that, yeah, this is going to make a big difference. The Vision of Confluence Adept is going to absolutely destroy everything it touches in those Solar Burn playlists, like say this week's Challenge of the Elders with Solar Burn and Precision Kill bonus. The Vision of Confluence exists for precision kills and of course it's solar damage, so this is probably the best weapon you can take into the Challenge of the Elders. But moving on, this week's weekly featured raid is Vault of Glass, of course, for the first time at 390 Light. And as such, we have the Templar Challenge and the Atheon Challenge to complete. I posted a guide yesterday on how you can complete the challenges and get yourself one of these exotic Adept primaries, so if you want to learn how you can do that yourself, hit that eye in the upper corner. I was also graced with a Vex Mythic class, so I'm very curious to take this out and see how it holds up to Year 3 activities. Now of course, moving on to the weekly rotation of weapons, there's really only one weapon that I want to point out this week, and that is the Event Horizon Sniper Rifle from the Crucible Quartermaster. Now don't be surprised if you see a lot of this weapon in the Crucible this week. It's got some pretty incredible perks, starting with a short gaze sight. Moving on to the perks, we've got Mulligan and Triple Tap as a choice, and then we've got Skip Rounds and Casket Mag getting you that extra bullet in the chamber, and then we've got Hidden Hand. This is a pretty incredible roll for this weapon, but if you see any other weapons that are worth noting, be sure to share it with us in the comments below. Anyways, this second week of Age of Triumph is proving to be more exciting than the first one. I never thought this final live event would be this interesting. Bungie says that Age of Triumph is a celebration of Destiny over the past few years, and I definitely feel that on a daily basis when I log on. But anyways, drop a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time. Weapons of Light and Shadow Shot will help out quite a bit, as is using Golden Gun with Celestial Nighthawk. The idea is to burn them down as quick as possible before your team becomes overwhelmed by ads. Either way, I recommend dedicating 1 or 2 people for ad control, like a Stormcaller or someone with a good close range loadout.